take a step back, sit on our hands as traders, and wait. Just wait. When the bears take control of the market, you gotta let them have it for a while, because in order for them to turn around bullish movement, they have to bring a ton of weight with them. If you're not prepared to deal with that type of weight, then get out of the way and let the bears play. That's what we like to say. Okay, let's dive into the charts. Now, what we're going to do here is use a bit of a different approach when it comes to analyzing where price may turn around, because if prices are falling, what most people want to know is where the bottom is. Okay, the only way that you can really tell where the bottom is not necessarily through your technical analysis. It's going to be more through the actual order books, okay, and where orders are lining up and stacking up in relation to your TA analysis. Okay, so when it comes to our TA, there's really a few certain levels that we're looking for. Long term, we're going to be looking for areas of imbalance, because we know that price typically likes to go back to these areas of imbalance to refill gaps. Think about things like CME future gaps, right? Over the weekend, price trades, it moves from one point to another, from the close to the open, and price usually goes back to that area to fill that gap. The same thing happens on price charts in these candles during live trade hours as well. So think about it like this. In the market, live markets, right? Price will go on a bull run. Boom, push up very aggressively. What you're seeing is that there's not enough sellers to combat the buyers, so price will move very fast. So if the market has an imbalance of sellers to buyers at a certain point in time and price, it'll like to go back to those areas to say, hey, who wanted to sell here, right? That's the long and short of it. So think about price in that way. When you start to see price come back to these levels here, essentially it's seeking those areas of imbalance, and it does it high, it does it low. Depending on which type of higher time frame analysis you're seeing, right, whether the market is trending bearish or trending bullish, that's what you're looking for in regards to what price is seeking for these imbalances. So right now we're seeking imbalances to the lower side. 30K is an imbalance area. Okay, there's other imbalance areas below that, and we can call some of them out for Bitcoin. Okay, we also outline these for a number of different altcoins. But of course, 30K is a really strong level in regards to support. Why? Because most traders know that chances are Bitcoin may go to 30K. So lots of orders are starting to build up here. This is also an area of imbalance. There's also a few other areas of imbalance, and we've outlined them here with these dotted lines. So you have some here right around 27K. You also have some right around 25K. And if you go a little bit lower, you start to have them line up around 20K, right? 21K. And there's even some as low as 12K and 10K. All right. So when people talk about $10,000 Bitcoin, right? The reason why they're saying that this is the floor is because essentially this is where the last imbalance is in price. All right. When it comes to the floor of Bitcoin. All right. So that projection is not necessarily a bad projection, because price could actually flow to that level. So let's take these imbalances off. What we want to concentrate on is where these clusters are sitting for all of the cryptos that we may be into. So we're going to cover a number of different cryptos today, starting with Bitcoin. Let's see where these clusters are lining up and where we may be able to find our floors. Okay, so when it comes to Bitcoin, as you can see, these single white lines are starting to get broken through, right? Because there's a lot more sellers in the market than buyers at this point, right? A lot of these orders here, they can be long or short, right? And I think at this point, anyone that's going long, they're getting crushed, right? There's just a lot more volume that are bringing trades short. So ultimately, everyone's selling at this point, and I think that the capitulation will start to kick in if price breaks below 30K. This is where I think most traders think the floor is. Now, we can look at any other crypto the same exact way, but what we want to do is in comparison to say, all right, if Bitcoin were to fall from where it is currently at 34,236 all the way down to 30,000, how would this affect other cryptos? Because we know that this market sort of moves in conjunction. We want to anticipate if there's other floors on other cryptos similar to the way that the floor looks for Bitcoin. All right, so let's take a look. All right, let's take a look at XRP. If we zoom out a little bit, we can see that the real floor for XRP isn't really here, guys. Where is the real floor for XRP? The reason why I think this is because there's even more uncertainty on how the SEC is also going to play this, right? So XRP, guys, may fall a bit more, right, below your 50-cent levels here. I think the majority of your strength is coming in right at 50 cents, guys. But if it were to fall below, there's not a lot to catch it here, all right? So I would say really anywhere below 52 cents. If price isn't supported here for XRP, you could see lower levels for this definitely as this thing continues to play out, right? So if Bitcoin goes to 30K and if XRP doesn't support itself right around 50 cents, you could see further moves and capitulation in XRP. Okay, taking a look at Ethereum. Ethereum also setting up a number of different orders at the floor here. So really anything below 2K, right, you're starting to run into a lot of orders here for Ethereum. So do I think that the majority of these orders here will be bullish? I think so. Okay, I don't think very many people want to short Ethereum under 2K, but if it does push this far and starts to push through these levels, then yes, you will see lower levels for Ethereum, right? So we're saying the Bitcoin floor is somewhere around 30. The Ethereum floor, I would say, is somewhere below 18, 19. Okay, if it breaks below 2,000, you could be in some trouble, but 18, 19 may start to be the place where you're going to see the majority of your pushback when it comes to these prices falling lower on Ethereum. Taking a look at Cardano, Cardano really is trying to set up a nice floor here somewhere around the 95 cents level. Now, if price were to crash back through this, your next levels of support are going to come somewhere around the 92 cent level. Okay, if it were to go below that, you're really starting to see your floor somewhere around 85 cents to around 80 cents for Cardano. Okay, if Bitcoin were to fall to 30K, I think you will see an 80 cents Cardano on the table. Okay, now, whether or not these are good buying opportunities, we still need to be aware of what's going on in the macro to understand whether or not it's a good time to buy or not. Because prices could come here and essentially just sit here, guys, right? All of the selling is stopped, but the buyers aren't convinced that they need to buy here. Until the tide swings one way or the other when it comes to the macroeconomics, you're going to sort of see us sit here in some of these areas here, I believe, for a little while longer. Okay, let's take a look at Avalanche. So one thing that concerns me about Avalanche is that they really had a very, very nice floor set up here. But it seems that some of these orders have come off and they haven't really moved any deeper into current levels, right? Maybe a little bit higher. But I would say that Avalanche still may be finding a floor somewhere here around 52 bucks if it were to crash through these two levels here. Just tons of orders just stacked up. One at 52, at the next one sitting at 50, then the next one is starting to build up at around 47, right? So looks like Avalanche does have quite a bit of support at these numbers, and if price were to go here, it should bounce. Okay, taking a look at MATIC. MATIC also setting up a floor here, starting to really thicken up, I would say somewhere around the $1.12 level. Okay, but you have three single line areas here, starting at $1.30, next one down $1.25, next one down I would say is about $1.20. Okay, so 5-cent increments. If price can break through these, your next real strong level of support is starting around $1.10, which would make sense if Bitcoin were to go to 30K. MATIC could definitely see the floor somewhere around here as well before it starts to consolidate and we see what happens next. Okay, moving on to Solana. Solana has had some negative news in the press, okay, which I think may drag the price down a bit more. You may see these levels here at around 79 start to get tested, as well as 74. Next level down is at 70 bucks. If you were to break through these three levels and orders don't pick up here, your next levels of real support start to seem to be clustering up right around the $62 level and lower. We want to see if these orders will continue to cluster up and build a bit deeper into the white lines rather than these yellowish lines here, because this doesn't give me a ton of confidence in Solana turning bullish if in fact price does visit these areas. All right, let's take a look at Cosmos. So Cosmos here gives a good example of when price starts to thicken up, right? So you can see that there was a ton of orders that sort of just got combined into this little block area and price just turned around from it, right? So this is what we're looking for the floors here as well. All right, we want to see where the clusters are. Now, right now, I think Atom is sort of scattered, right? They haven't really consolidated price into levels yet, but Atom seems to be supporting itself fairly well, even though the rest of the market is still down, right? Atom did have a pretty big run today. All right, so what we're going to do is take a look to see if these levels start to climb higher. If in fact they do, right, Atom may start to see some steam even when everything else is starting to go down a bit, right? So we want to see this action sort of consolidate and push up a bit to support the price movement in Atom. But so far, so good for Atom today. I would say that this is probably one of your top movers. And it does have support really starting at the levels of around 28. So if price were to come back down here, I think that a lot of this action will push itself up to continue to keep the upwards movement going. All right, when it comes to Polkadot, we see a number of different orders coming in here. Currently, I think that this is pretty positive. Looks like Polkadot really wants to find his floor somewhere here around 15 bucks, right? And you do still have some orders that are lining up here. Whenever you see these two white lines together, right, just very, very high levels of orders here. One 203, the other 166K, right? So you do have support, right? All of these cryptos are starting to see some of their heavier support come in. Whether or not these are long or short orders, though, again, yet to remains to be seen. I think that most traders at these points, they're taking long positions because this essentially is the ultimate buying of the dip, right? If the crypto markets are going to stay strong in the way that people anticipate they will, these are the type of dips that you want to buy in. I'm not so convinced that we've reached the bottom. The majority of the stacking of the orders is still lower than where price is currently sitting, right? If they were really trying to push the price up, they will be coming in at the levels, current levels, or a little bit below them. Right now, they're still a little too far. So I think that most people think that price still has a bit more room to run to the downside. And that's why the orders are starting to line up in the books, and they look this way. All right, we'll do a few more and we'll get on up out of here. Terra Luna, also anything under 60 bucks, you're starting to run into those levels of support. If we take a look left over here, we can see, right? Luna has been getting supported here at these levels, guys, right? And you're going to start to see things consolidate in ways, unless you get more bearish pressure from the top. Now, we can see that the bears are starting to show up here, try to push the price down a little bit lower. Luna may stay stuck in this range here, but tons of support on the bottom. You shouldn't see any really hard price crashes for Luna unless really the buyers just get out of the way. Okay, the graph looking like it's pretty desolate right now, man. Not a lot of orders, not a lot of volume in the market, not a lot of support for the graph, right? So if the graph is something that you're holding, this may be something that you may want to think about taking a loss in if in fact you are down in this, because the losses could get a lot worse, right? As you guys can see, there is not a lot of support here, guys. We really have to kind of zoom in to start to pick up these levels of support. Now, if there are going to be any, they're going to come in somewhere around the 30-cent level for the graph. Okay, so if the graph were to go to 30 cents, I think it's a pretty good buy. This is really where your only cluster is. There are some orders that are starting to try to fight back here, but for the most part, I think that the graph still has some room to swing to the downside here. Okay, taking a look at Chainlink. Chainlink, again, doesn't have a ton of support, but things are starting to cluster up right around the level of around 13 bucks. Okay, so if Chainlink were to fall to 13 bucks, you may start to see some support come in. Okay, you're seeing orders start to build up here in these areas. Not a ton of support, but the good part is that there's not a lot of resistance either. We see that there's not a ton to the upside here. If in fact Chainlink does get supported and starts to run, I think it could definitely run. Okay, let's cover AAVE. And again, AAVE, not a ton of support here below this price. Not really knowing whether or not AAVE will continue to seek lower prices. The first cluster that we're starting to see is somewhere maybe around 115 bucks. Not the best news for AAVE holders, okay? But if price were to start to fall into these levels, all right, I think it will probably start to find support. There's not very much below it after that, right? So this is sort of the last stand for AAVE, sort of sitting here at around 120 bucks. Hopefully this does come down to this level. If it does, I would not mind taking a buy if I start to see the bulls coming back into action at these levels. This could easily happen if Bitcoin were to fall to 30K. I think you would see actually lower numbers than this, and we would see whether or not the buyers are ready to support AAVE at lower numbers than maybe 100 bucks. All right, so yet to remain to be seen, but we'll see, guys. Everything looks very bloody, guys. It doesn't matter which cryptos we go into. We can do this for a number of different cryptos, right? I can go into Filecoin, I can go into Dogecoin, I can go into the different DEXs. I can go into all of them. They all pretty much look the same, right? They're trying to establish floors here with these clusters of orders. And if price were to reach these areas, that's where I think you may see your bounce. The news matters at this point, and I think we all have to sort of take a step back, sit on our hands for a while, because in order for them to turn around bullish movement, they have to bring a ton of weight with them. And that weight tends to carry over. If you're not prepared to deal with that type of weight, then get out of the way and let the bears play. That's what we like to say. I think that'll do it for today, guys. It's Maestro. Thank you for tuning in to The Long and Short. We appreciate you. Go ahead, like and subscribe if you feel this type of content will help you make better decisions in this market. We will continue to bring it. All right. Also, we are working on our first tutorial getting ready to drop. We may drop it tonight, depends on whether or not I'm able to record the video. But we're going to talk about imbalances and liquidity. These are two areas in price charts that I think people overlook dramatically, because imbalances are places where price wants to go, and liquidity is what price needs to grab in order to make these moves happen. All right, so we're going to cover that in depth. We're going to show you how to find them on charts and how to take advantage of them. That'll be our first tutorial for our masterclass. All right, so salute. Thanks to everybody for joining. We will continue to put this information out there for those who want to see it. It's your boy Maestro. It's the long and short. We're out of here. Peace.